Hey Raiders, it's crazy, but my Raider just left on an expedition, which means that like many of you, I was starting fresh and needed to upgrade my workbenches for the third time. It feels amazing for pretty much every item to matter and be useful again at the start of the wipe, but it also feels pretty good to finish all the workbenches and have the flexibility to craft whatever I need for my raids. So I set myself a challenge: can I build and upgrade all my workbenches to tier 3 in one day, basically in one single gaming session? All I can tell you is I don't recommend forcing it. I'll show you exactly how long it took at the end of the video and you'll see if I managed to do it in one day or not. I don't want this video to boil down to if you have a lot of time to play the game and don't leave your computer, then you can do it too. No, instead I want this video to be filled with tips and specific locations you can check for your important workbench upgrades, so that when you're progressing through the new wipe at your own pace, if you get stuck, you can always refer back to this video and check some of the spots that worked for me. So if that sounds good, click the like button, subscribe to the channel, and you can check the timestamps below for any specific workbench, but do watch the whole video to not miss some general tips that I don't repeat for every workstation. And another thing I want to quickly mention, in this video I don't use any extra tricks like finishing the trophy display project to get instant 300k to expand my stash. I don't use any of the blueprints I saved up on a different character before the expedition. There are a lot of ways you can speed up your progress, but I just want to find the items naturally myself so I can make a better video for you guys. Before we get to the individual workbenches, let's start with some general tips. At the start of the wipe, you have to rebuild the workstations from scratch. The order you built these workstations in is the order they will appear in the menu for the rest of the season, so make sure you don't rush through this process. If it's your first time playing, the order probably matters less, but if you just went on an expedition, try to remember the order you had your benches in and replicate it, otherwise it might mess with your brain for a while. I had my refiner all the way at the end on the right side, so that's where I wanted to be again for the quick access, as well as my medical bench was always in the middle here, so whenever I need to craft more adrenaline shots quickly, I always navigate to this middle bench. If I build the medical station somewhere in a different order, it will throw me off for quite some time until I can maybe get used to it, so spend some time planning out your order and then don't rush, build your benches accordingly. Another general tip is of course using the in-game tracking function to spot the items you need for the upgrades easier, but it's limited because you cannot track items, let's say for the level 2 or 3 of a workbench until you complete level 1. So for that reason, we're going to be using the needed items tracker right here on Metaforge. It shows what we need for every workbench, including Scrappy, and it's important because while we're gathering basic materials to build the benches, we can already keep an eye out for the future upgrade materials that we need to bring back to Speranza. To build every bench initially, we will need very basic materials that are not location specific, such as metal parts, rubber, plastic and cloth, and also some arc alloy and arc power cells, which we can get from killing the small arc on the map while we're gathering these basic materials. So for the first few runs, just go to smaller maps like Buried City and Dam Battlegrounds. Sprint to the first wasp patrol you see, defeat the wasps and hornets, take everything because you'll also need wasp and hornet drivers for workbench upgrades later. Then loot the closest point of interest, recycling anything that's not in these trackers so you can quickly stack enough basic materials to build the benches initially. While I was doing it the other day, I found plenty of metal parts, chemicals and cloth, but was struggling with rubber, so my advice on this would be to pick up items you don't normally pick up. Diving goggles, headphones, deflated football, water filters, useless items, but they all recycle into rubber back in Speranza. If you're struggling with metal, recycle every gun you get from a free loadout, and if you're short on plastic and chemicals, go to Stella Montes Seed Vault. It's still a great spot for those materials, as well as seeds which you can trade for useful items with Celeste. And of course, while you're gathering these basic materials, Scrappy is also helping you out. So that's another source of these mats, and eventually you will be able to build up all your benches. It took me 1 hour and 14 minutes of in-raid time, so the actual time topside, as we started this challenge with 205 hours, 7 minutes topside, and we built all the basic benches by 206.21. And since we mentioned Scrappy, let's cover him first. You'll need a dog collar for the first upgrade, then 3 lemons and 3 apricots for the next one, 6 prickly pears, 6 olives and 1 catbet to get him to level 4, and finally another 12 apricots, 12 mushrooms and 3 very comfortable pillows. So the dog collar commonly spawns in residential areas. If we're going to Dam Battlegrounds for the basic mats, you can already watch out for a dog collar if you spawn next to these residential buildings. Pale Apartments, Ruby Residences or the Pattern House up north. Same goes with Buried City. More than half of the map is residential, so as you're looting the basic mats, look in all the drawers, trash cans and kitchen cupboards. Then it's lemons and apricots. A good spot for apricots is the island in the Dam Battlegrounds Red Lakes, and lemons can be found on Blue Gate in the Olive Grove. This is also where you can find olives for the next upgrade. But the best way is to unlock a special room on Stella Montes here in the cafeteria. You need to get a fresh raid of Stella Montes, run to Atrium and look for a fuel cell or a special battery lying around on the ground. And grab that, bring it to the cafeteria and use it to unlock this back room. There will be 2 baskets here that can contain everything from apricots, lemons, olives, prickly pears and even mushrooms. So a few runs, maybe 6 or 7 realistically if it's a bit contested by other players, should do the trick. Another option is the Lush Blooms event, where these baskets spawn on the surface of various maps, but that event is not always in rotation. So this Stella Montes room is a real lifesaver, especially when it comes to the next upgrade. Prickly pears are usually found around cactuses on the outskirts of Dam and Buried City, but the spawn rate is really low, so you'd have to extract 1 or 2 pears and go again. Stella Montes Cafeteria Battery Room is going to help you here, and you might even get enough mushrooms for the final upgrade. If you are missing mushrooms and are done with all other fruits, then this tree on the north side of Spaceport is a guaranteed spot for mushrooms. It will always spawn at least 3 mushrooms, but players know this, so they rush this spawn, which means you need to bring some adrenaline shots and hope for a good spawn, or you will be late. Now that we are done with the fruits, all that is left is the cat bed and 3 very comfortable pillows. These can be found in residential areas, but there is a guaranteed spot for both of these, and that's the white container on the outside of the red tower in Buried City. I made a whole separate video on how to get to this spot fast, but all you need to know is that these white containers in this red tower will always spawn at least 1 cat bed and 1 pillow. You just have to get there first. And just like that, we are done with Scrappy. The order really matters when you build the stations. The upgrade order doesn't matter as much. However, we do want to upgrade our refiner to level 2 as quickly as possible, because then we can use the refiner to craft some of the upgrades that will be needed for other stations. So for the refiner upgrades, you will need 3 toasters, 5 arc motion cores, 8 fireball burners, 3 motors, 10 arc circuitry and 6 bombardier cells. As you're hunting for various upgrades, make sure to destroy and loot fireballs and you'll eventually get enough burners for this upgrade. The toasters are mostly found in residential areas, so as you're looking for the dog collar and other materials, Ruby Residences is a good spot. These can spawn as loose loot just on the counter or inside the kitchen cupboards and so on. Same goes for when you're looking for Scrappy upgrades in Stella Montes Cafeteria. There are also residential cupboards there in the kitchen, so another good place to look for toasters. Next is arc motion cores and arc circuitry. You can get these from destroying and looting the large arc, but the safer option is looting probes. Either go to Electromagnetic Storm, where a lot of crashed probes can spawn. These will drop a motion core and arc circuitry here and there, or look for active probes that are landing. These can have 3 compartments and pretty much guarantee you some arc motion cores and circuitry in each probe. Best place to do it is the Prospecting Probes minor map condition. But if that's not active, just go to a smaller map like Buried City, find a high spot and look out for any probes that are landing, then sprint to one and loot it. Okay, motors is a little bit more tricky. Hopefully you found some naturally in the industrial zones, such as this primary facility garage on Dam Battlegrounds. That's where I found a couple of mine. But if you have to target farm these, go to the blue gate, and if you get a spawn somewhere on the bottom half of the map, sprint to this broken highway. Lots of abandoned cars here. You just need to breach every hood and bus engine and you will eventually find your motors. Look out for rusted gears here also, you will need them later for the Gunsmith upgrades. Finally, for the bombardier cells, you will need to kill a bombardier. You can try to team up with someone in the friendly lobbies, or if you want to do it solo, my advice would be to find a building with some top cover, like a high ceiling that will protect you from his mortars. Shoot his yellow leg joints from behind cover until one of his legs explodes. He gets stunned for about 10 seconds, at which point you need to run to his back and attach a deadline mine to this black cover next to the yellow canister. This is a surefire way to kill it. You can buy one deadline mine from Apollo every day, or if you need more, you can upgrade your explosive station to level 3, kill some comets, and craft some more deadlines eventually. And that's why we are going to talk about the explosive workbench next. For this one, you need to get 3 synthesized fuel, 5 crude explosives, 5 pop triggers, 3 laboratory reagents, 5 explosive compound, and 3 rocketeer drivers. The best spot for synthesized fuel is security checkpoint on Stella Montes. Here on the middle floor there is a room that always spawns synthesized fuel, so just sprint here a couple of times and you'll find enough for the upgrade. Crude explosives can be picked up in any simple industrial container or even crafted in the refiner from chemicals that Scrappy collected, so no point spending time on that. Same goes with pop triggers. As you're gathering basic mats, make sure to loot every small arc. Pops, ticks, fireballs, wasps, and hornets, their unique parts are all required for some workbench, so that's how you get those pop triggers. Explosive compound can be found in security areas, so again, doing some looting runs on Stella Montes security checkpoint will eventually get you enough explosive compound or enough materials to craft them at your refiner. Laboratory reagents are really RNG. Sometimes you can find multiple in medical areas, so hospital on Buried City, testing annex on Dam Battlegrounds, but my best luck was in the medical research area on Stella Montes. It can often spawn as loose loot just sitting there on medical beds and tables, so turn on your flashlight and look out for those brown bottles. And finally, the rocketeer drivers. Previously, the best way to bring down a rocketeer was a wolf pack. But right now, the Wolfpack itself requires a Rocketeer driver to craft, so instead you can kill one by getting under this roof in the Blue Gate head house and shooting Rocketeer thrusters until 2 of them fall off and it goes down to the ground. What's special about this place is that if you hide deep under this roof cover, you can still shoot the Rocketeer, but it will not shoot back. It will just hover there and freak out from time to time. But realistically, you don't need to kill a Rocketeer for this. I found all my Rocketeer drivers I needed in the same round of Electromagnetic Storm on Spaceport. So during a week when electromagnetic map condition is in rotation, open the Metaforge map and go from one potential spawn of Rocketeer husks to another. As long as you're doing it on storm condition, you have a pretty good chance of finding 1, 2, or even 3 Rocketeer drivers in the same round, and that's your explosive station completed. Next, let's talk about the medical lab. You'll need 2 cracked bioscanners, 5 durable cloth, 8 tick pods, 3 rusted shut medical kits, 8 antiseptic, and 5 surveyor vaults. Cracked bioscanners are a common spawn in medical areas. Testing annex on Dam is a good spot to check, the hospital in Buried City, medical wing in the departures building on Spaceport, and of course medical research on Stella Montes. This is also where you'll find durable cloth and the antiseptic for the next upgrade, so make sure to grab all that. And that's also where you can find rusted shut medical kits. They are a lot more rare than the bioscanners, but again, don't just look in the medical cabinets. Sometimes these medical kit boxes just sit on top of beds and counters, so watch out for that. Durable cloth is easily crafted from normal cloth in the refiner, and tick pods are obviously from just looting ticks. If you're struggling to find enough ticks, come back to the seed vault on Stella where you were getting chemicals and plastic. Or next to it, there's cultural archives with a bunch of ticks too. Finally, surveyor vaults are probably the hardest one for this workbench, so what I did personally is anytime I had a heavy weapon like a ferro or an anvil, I ran to any blue beam of light I see on the map, that's the surveyor doing its thing, and I tried to destroy the surveyor. To defeat them easily, you can use seeker nades or even snap blast grenades if you sneak up to them when their core is exposed. But you can also just shoot the same side so that you get to the core quicker, and then it will explode in just a few shots. Another way is looting crashed arc couriers, as they have a chance to spawn a surveyor vault, and I made a whole video on how to find these more effectively. So if you're struggling with those, I'd recommend watching that, as I spent 10 minutes there sharing all the tips I know on how to farm these more effectively. With the medical lab completed, let's talk about the Gunsmith. You need 3 rusted tools, 5 mechanical components, 8 wasp drivers, 3 rusted gears, 5 advanced mechanical components, and 4 Sentinel firing cores. Starting from the easy stuff, mechanical components you can find in containers like these big service vehicles in the primary facility garage, or just craft them in your refiner. That's the best approach. Same goes for advanced mechanical components for the next upgrade. A pretty rare drop, but you can craft them in the refiner level 2, which is a relatively easy upgrade, and that's why we prioritize refiner earlier in the video. Wasp drivers are pretty easy too. Just kill some wasps as you're farming for other materials and make sure to bring these and stockpile in Speranza. Now the hard part. Rusted tools are easy to find in any industrial zone, especially now with the Riven Tides map. There's a lot of them in the stacking yard containers, but they share the spawn with rusted gears. So if you're finding a lot of rusted tools, that means you're most likely not finding very many rusted gears. I made a whole separate video on where to find these rusted gears, so check that out in the description for some good ideas. But just quickly, the absolute best spots currently are the buses near the power generation extract on Dam Battlegrounds, and now also the new controlled access zone on Dam Battleground right here. Maybe because it's a new zone added to the game in February 2026, but the spawns are a bit messed up and you're pretty much guaranteed to find multiple rusted gears here right now. I hope they don't patch that, because looking for these gears is really a pain. And I also have a video on how to get Sentinel cores, which goes into a lot of detail on how to fight Sentinel turrets and how to find these cores in the crashed arc couriers. But TLDR is that for some reason, the new Hurricane map condition seems to have more new Sentinel spawns that were not present on other map variants. So what I did is I used the Metaforge map for Buried City, checked where all the Sentinels could spawn, and then loaded into the Hurricane on Buried. And because it's such a small map, I was always able to find at least one Sentinel nearby and get its core. So this should be a lot easier now, but if you're struggling, check out how to get Sentinel firing cores in Arc Raiders by Crazy Trick. Okay, now let's talk about the gear bench. You'll need 3 power cables, 5 electrical components, 5 Hornet drivers, 3 industrial batteries, 5 advanced electrical components, and 6 bastion cells. Power cables can spawn in electrical, residential, and commercial areas, so as you're looking for other upgrades, you are likely to find them as loose loot laying around on various computers in Dam Battlegrounds power generation, or controlled access zone, for example. Or for some reason, these white desks in Departures building on Spaceport is another great spot. I guess these are supposed to be office desks, so it does make sense. As you're looking for these power cables, you'll find some advanced electrical components as loose loot laying around as well. Or better ways to craft them in your refiner, which we prioritized upgrading. And you can of course craft the basic electrical components in the refiner too. Industrial batteries can be found in industrial zones. This battery is sometimes needed for the new puzzle room in the controlled access zone, so it often spawns nearby. But if you want an almost guaranteed spot, for some reason they very often spawn in the hydroponic domes, here in the swamp. That's where I found most of mine. Hornet drivers are pretty straightforward. Just destroy and loot 5 Hornets and safe pocket the drivers. And bastion cells are a little harder, but also pretty straightforward, as you'll need to kill a bastion or maybe even a couple bastions. If you're in friendly lobbies, see if people are killing a bastion on Stella Montes in the loading bay, and maybe you can snag a bastion cell or 2. Or if you're doing it solo, focus on shooting the yellow leg joint, and once the leg explodes, put a deadline on the back of the bastion while it's stunned. We discussed how you can get the deadlines, but definitely make sure you buy one per day from Apollo, and you can craft them if you manage to get some comet igniters as well. You can learn how to better fight bastions in one of my trials videos that will be linked in the description. And for our final workbench, the utility station, you'll need 2 damaged heatsinks, 5 more electrical components, 6 snitch scanners, 3 fried motherboards, 5 advanced electrical components, and 4 Leaper pulse units. Electrical components and advanced electrical components is the same as for the gear bench. Craft them in the refiner level 1 and level 2, since we prioritize upgrading that station first. You don't even need refiner level 3 to craft these materials, so it's the easiest way to get them. Damaged heatsinks you will find looting technological areas or any drawers in various server rooms, and especially on Spaceport there are 3 technological areas in a line: the arrival building, the departure building, and the A6 control tower. Snitch scanners are self-explanatory, just kill snitches with heavy ammo gun or a renegade if you have access to that early in the wipe. Now, the fried motherboards are a very common spawn in any breachable server rack. So let's say those you find along the walls in Spaceport that nobody breaches, or these red servers in the middle of Stella Montes medical area, for example. All of these breach containers have very good chance to drop a fried motherboard, and if you're just checking these servers as you play, you'll have 3 before you even need them. And finally, the Leaper Pulse unit. You'll have to fight a Leaper for it, maybe even multiple, as they usually drop 1 or 2 units and you need 4 for the upgrade. There is a very common spawn on Dam Battlegrounds near the water treatment extract elevator, while my favorite spot is in Marano Park in Bird City right here. Usually during night raid or a hurricane, there is a Leaper nearby and you can lure him close to this metro entrance and kinda get him stuck as he tries to fit in there, which makes him unable to leap away. I would just use an anvil and a lot of bullets, but since I was doing all the workbenches in one day and was pretty tired by this point, I bought a hull cracker from Tianwen and just blasted the Leaper. And that's all our workstations completed. Does not have to be in one day for you. In fact, I would not recommend rushing it because it's a really good feeling right after the expedition where every item you stumble upon is useful for something. But since this was a challenge, let's see how quickly I was able to build and upgrade all the workstations to max level, including Scrappy. We started at 205.07 and finished at 213.04. That's exactly 8 hours spent topside, and with breaks for food and talking to chat and managing stash, it took us 12 hours of stream time in real life. Catch me do the next challenge on stream someday on twitch.tv/crazytrick. Link in the description, drop a follow, and thank you for watching this video. Give it a like if you enjoyed, and if you found this useful, subscribe for more Arc Raiders videos in the future. I hope you guys are having fun with the game, and I'm off to make another video. Crazy Trick, out.